Welcome back to my channel. This is Christy Hartman, and we are going to complete this tag book. This is an accordion tag book. I'm going to show you today how I completed this cute little tag book, which is called Zombie Cats. This is based on a pattern of mine. It's one of my original designs. And you can purchase the pattern, not for this exact design, but for these characters, called Zombie Cats, and it's on the Decorative Painting store, which I will include in the description. This is actually completed as a tag swap on a Facebook group that I belong to called the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists, and it's hosted by PM Artist Studio. I am building some tags. I have taken these tag shapes. They look like these. These were a purchase tag that I've had for a long time, and I can't even tell you who they're by. One side is already finished and the other side is white. So on the white side, I am covered them with a gel print. I'm adding some music paper, and I'm going to add a little bit of a circle up here to be like a reinforcer. I just like. And this one I've added the gel print to, but no music papers. I kind of like that one with it. Let's try this one. That one's not bad either. I actually kind of like that together. That looks kind of interesting. And this is another gel print of mine I've just been holding on to, thinking I would eventually use it. All right. I have cut 2 more pieces, 3.5 inches wide, and we'll get them glued on to this. This time I'm going to use some PVA. They are both glued on here, and I actually think that'll be nice. I'm going to trim these up real quick, get them ready. So there are 5 tags in this series. I kind of want this antique paper to kind of be a little more vintage looking. So I'm going to use a deco art color called Asphaltum, and I'm going to do a technique. For those of you who have done any decorative painting over the years, you know this technique. This is called floating. I'm using an angle brush. You can use a flat brush if you prefer. You dip the corner of your brush into the paint, and this is a wet brush, and I go back and forth on my palette to distribute that paint across my brush. And if it doesn't distribute well, I generally dip the other, this is called the heel of my brush, this is the toe, the heel of my brush into some water, and I just go again and get some paint on that brush. Then you put the side of the brush against the edge where you want to cast a shadow, and that paint just distributes out. Look at the definition I got. Now I can do the same thing, loading my brush the same way. And I like to start really light. This is almost like a glaze float, because you can always darken. It's hard to take paint away. And I'm going to go right along the bottom of this music paper. And I'm just giving it that distressed look. That one isn't quite dark enough, so I'm just going to add some more paint. And I'm using a very light touch. I'm going to go right over the top of it again. And that's the way it looks. Around the outside edge of this circle, I'm going around, and I'm a little darker with my paint this time, and I did that intentionally. You can see the difference, I think. And I'm going to go right over the top of this. And if I get some up onto my gel printed paper, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do the rest of these off camera. These tags were not quite sturdy enough. So I'm going to add another piece of cardstock to the back of each one. I'll be back when I've glued all of these together. I'm going to use a little bit of this vintage paper distress ink, and I'm just going to darken all the edges of my tags. I've been thinking about how to bind these tags into this tag book, and I decided I'm going to use another gel print. And I have one here, and then I have these two. Get them situated on the back of this paper as well as I can. Let this dry, cut it into strips, and I'm going to use this for my binding. So let's glue this on. And when it's all dry, I'll be back to add the binding. This is going to be my hinge for my tag book. And I'm going to use, this is a Fisker's punch. I've had it for a really long time. So I don't even know if they make it anymore. And I'm just going to punch the edges just to give myself a little bit of a decorative edge. And cut it. Then I'm going to fold it in half this direction. Now, right down the center of this, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go 1/16 on either side of my center point so that my very center hinge, I have 1/8 of an inch. That will tell me how far to butt my tags up against my hinge. I'm just going to put this magazine down so I have a straight edge to put my tags up against. Take my hinge, add some glue to this side. Do the same thing on the other side. And off camera, I'm going to add the rest of these hinges and let them dry.